You ready to do this, Britta?
I'm ready, Spencer. Punch it, Chewie.
Welcome, Super Friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot tonight is Britta Stapleton.
Howdy do, people.
We're two nerds that just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode 118. We release every Thursday morning. You can find us on our website, fortofnerd.com. We have links to iTunes, Google Music, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and everywhere podcasts are available. Stop by and relax a while. If you like what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us automatically each and every week in your ear holes. Now, Super Friends, you may be thinking, Britta's on the podcast and no Stu. Well, that's because we're recording a little bit ahead because we want to make sure that we have a podcast ready for you on Thursday, the day this releases, because we are taking a vacation. Britta, you haven't been on in a while. We got a vacation coming up. What is going on? Tell us what's happening.
So, this has been in the making for almost a full year now. So, it is my parents' 40th anniversary in March. And so, they decided to take the family on a trip, all the kids and grandkids, get away, go have some fun. And I happened to convince my parents that the best idea for a family trip would be a Disney cruise. So that is what we're doing. We decided to add a little Disney World vacation on top of the cruise. So we are out having all kinds of Disney fun right now.
Right. So as this actually drops on Thursday morning, we're going to be in the parks somewhere, or we're going to be on the cruise. Actually, we'll be on the cruise.
We'll be on the
when
cruise
this
on
drops.
this one, right?
Yeah. So we'll be on the cruise. I'll be somewhere in the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean, sitting on a sandy beach somewhere.
We're going to be enjoying some sand and sun while everyone else is still stuck in the polar vortex.
Seriously, it's snowing
So glad.
again here.
Can't wait to get into some warm weather in the middle of February or end of February, I guess.
Right.
Yep.
So, Britta, what else has been going on? What's new with you? You haven't been on in a little while. So, tell us, Super Friends, what's going on? How are you?
I'm good. Just busy getting ready for the trip, frankly. Like, that's all I do is prep and do laundry and fold and pack and check my list 3 or 4 times to make sure I have everything. And
daily.
Seriously.
3 times daily.
I know. It's bad. Well, because as our super friends probably don't know this, but the cruise that we're going on is a Disney cruise, and it is a Star Wars Day at Sea Disney cruise. So we have to like really nerd it up when we do this kind of stuff. So that involves costumes and a lot of preparation. So actually my mom for Halloween this last year made a Ewok costume for Halloween, which was pretty amazing. And she had some leftover materials and things, so she sent that to me. So I will also have an Ewok costume for this cruise. And I don't know, are you bringing your Jedi stuff?
No.
Oh.
Here's the thing. It takes up an entire garment bag just by itself for my entire costume. B, it's wool. It's all wool. It's like 4 layers.
True.
It's all wool. We're going to be in the Caribbean.
True.
That says nothing but sweaty, hot, stinky nastiness. And I don't want to do that. I'm also taking the approach of I'm taking as little as I possibly can, only taking what I really need. Because I feel like a lot of times I go on trips, I take more stuff than I really need.
Yeah. I'm gonna
wear a Star Wars t-shirt. That's it.
That works. I think you should at least take like one of the robe things because frankly, I'm going to be covered in fur. So I'm going to be pretty warm, but I'm going to have awesome pictures. So,
I love you.
I know.
But I'm smarter. I'm not going to be wearing fur in the Caribbean, or I'm not going to be wearing wool.
But you're going to be jealous when we meet Chewbacca and he freaks out at my mom and my costumes, and you're going to be all bummed that you're not dressed up like a Jedi taking pictures with Chewbacca.
So you think I'm going to be bummed because some teenager that's in a costume isn't going to be excited by me?
It's not a teenager in costume. It's Chewbacca. He's going to be on our cruise. And he loves the Ewoks, right?
I think he ate a few, actually.
Well, whatever.
I'm
porgs.
I'm really at the point where I want to have fun. I want to enjoy myself. I don't care about bringing the costume stuff. If this was like a Star Wars day, maybe at Disney World, and we weren't doing the cruise, so I didn't have to worry about bringing it along.
Yeah.
Or if we were going to Disneyland and doing this, then I'd maybe consider it, because I could, it would maybe be a little easier. But since we have to pack for the Disney World trip and the Disney cruise, I just don't want to take that much stuff, and I don't want to be wearing 4 layers of wool, because that's literally what it is. 4 layers of wool.
Oh, I know.
In the Caribbean.
Yeah. No, I understand. Makes
it's not
sense.
the most breathable fabric.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
It's not. It's true. But so that's pretty much what I've been doing: making costumes, getting packed. That's
yep. I'd really give an update, but I recorded a podcast 2 days ago, and I'm recording another one tomorrow. So basically, I'm just on vacation, Super Friends. That's all that's really going on right now. I'm turning my phone off when I go on this vacation. I'm going to be completely out of touch for 2 weeks. It's going to be as much a vacation for my mental health as it will be for just like the rest of the family and having a good time.
I mean, when was the last time we took a 2-week vacation?
I'm just thinking, when was the last time I turned my phone off for more than like a day or two? I think when I took that motorcycle trip right after Jackson was born, I had my phone off most of the day, and I'd turn it on at night just to check in with you when we'd get somewhere. But I'm literally like turning the thing off, because if I don't, I'm going to get work text messages and calls and direct emails, people saying, hey, I need this, hey, I need this. And my temptation will be to say, okay, let me respond to them really quick and redirect them to someone who can help.
Right.
And I've sent out an email to my entire company saying like, hey, you need to send all the requests through the ticketing system. You need to talk, to the people who are going to be there. I am gone. And I will come back, and either the building will have burned to the ground, or it'll still be there one way or the other. I'll catch up with all of that when I get back.
Yeah. At least it's nice, because on the cruise, we're literally unreachable. Like, there's no service. So it's good.
I told all my coworkers in that email, I said, I'm unreachable for 2 weeks. I said, don't message me, because I won't get it until I get back.
Yeah.
So
mine won't even try. So
yeah, that's nice. Unfortunately, there'll be way too many people that will try.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're like the only IT guy on site, I mean, I've got this great IT team back in Michigan where the headquarters are, and Lauren's going to actually come out for a week while I'm gone. So there will be someone on site for about a week of the 2 weeks I'm gone, which is great. Like, this is awesome. Like, they're supporting me. They're allowing me to do this. Mm-hmm. But because most of the people at my company are just used to me being the only guy on site, I'm still going to get a handful of calls and messages and emails directly. But if I don't respond to any of that, they'll remember that I put out the email, and they'll get the idea. So
I assume you'll have an out of office on. They'll get that message real quick.
Oh yeah, for sure. So anyway, Super Friends, that's more details than you probably care to know about how I'm not going to be in touch. But if you notice I'm not active on social media for the next 2 weeks, well, actually, when this drops, the last, 4 days before I come home, well, you understand why. Britta, if that's all you got kind of with what's going on in your week, what do you say we murder some Bothans and see if we can exact a little rebel intelligence from them?
Let's do it.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Britta, we are into Rebel Intelligence. What do you have for me this week?
All right, well, there is a new Dumbo preview. Now, I don't know how you feel about this new live-action Dumbo. Frankly...
Well, maybe you should ask me what I feel of just the live action remake stuff.
Okay, how do you feel about the live action remake?
Well, thanks for asking, Britta. That's awesome. I'm actually not a big fan of this.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're not being done well, because I think for the most part they are, but it's more of I'm of the opinion we need to make more new original things.
Right.
And I'm getting tired of just remake after remake. And now basically Disney's going back and remaking all of their animated classics in this live action because they don't have to pay script writers because they've got a script. They don't have to pay, people to come up with this. It's all, a lot of CGI.
Royalty fees and things. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I get it that it's cheap to make and they can make quite a lot of money, and why not as a business? It's a smart play. I'm just not a big fan of it.
Yeah. I'm okay with some of it. I think they're overdoing it. And if you'll remember in the past, one time I was on, we talked about there was like 22 of them or something that they had been talking about that over the next 10 years or whatever. I think that's too much. And I don't think all of that needs to be done. So in that vein, Dumbo is coming out, I think, in just a couple weeks. I think it's coming out in March. So by the time this airs, it's like the next week, I think. So, and frankly, from the previews that I've seen, I'm not that interested in it. Obviously our 4-year-old Jackson loves Dumbo.
Loves Dumbo.
Sleeps with Dumbo every night, has this little stuffed toy, watches Dumbo all the time, which FYI, for those of you who haven't watched it since you were kids or maybe never have, it's literally 59 minutes long.
Yeah.
Shortest movie ever. So sometimes that's good. But he loves it, and he has seen some of these previews, and he wants to go see it. And frankly, from the previews that I have seen, I do not want to go see it because it looks... One, like, I'm just gonna cry the whole time because every time they play that Baby of Mine song, like, I just bawl, even in the cartoon. But two, it just hasn't looked that exciting. But they do have a new trailer out that does make it look a little bit more fun and energetic versus just, like, sad and depressing.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm like after seeing this preview, I'm like, okay, like, maybe I'll take Jackson to go see this, but... Still not that interested.
Let me ask you this, though. Do you think this is something that actually needs to be seen in the theater? Or do you think this is something like, if he doesn't see in the theater and we just eventually buy it, on digital, that would be good enough?
I think that would probably be fine for him because he's at that age where he's just barely starting to watch live action type of movies. Like what did we watch with him recently? Something that was, I don't know, this Christmas we watched like Santa Claus and some of those kind of movies.
Right.
The first actual live action, non-animated movies that we've watched with him. And he did okay with those, but he's still in that animation kind of phase. So I don't know that this would be one that we would have to go to the theater and see.
Oh, Mary Poppins Returns.
There you go. We did take him to that and he loved that. He still talks about it. But, yeah, I don't know if this is one we need to go to the theater and see. I'd personally rather not. So we'll just see what else is out at the time, I guess.
Yeah, I'm totally okay not going to the theater to see it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disney, since we're on a Disney cruise right now, Rebel Intelligence, Super Friends, I'm just going to be honest, it's all Disney. It's Disney themed. And we're doing a movie club this episode, which is also Disney themed. So prepare. This is the House of Mouse episode.
Yep.
So here's the thing. They just released a new trailer for the live action Aladdin movie that they're doing. Have you seen this trailer?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so once again, I just said how I feel about this live action stuff. I feel like if you're going to recast and do these movies, especially a movie like Aladdin that was big and popular, it really needs to be cast right. And this new trailer starts off and we see Jafar and Jafar's talking. Jafar sounds like a wimp.
Right?
I mean...
Doesn't sound like evil.
Well, okay, granted, right? In the animated, it's overplayed and it's definitely hammed up quite a bit. And, he's got the, the sound to his voice, and he's like, "In the pit of despair," or whatever.
It's
You
like
know,
a
it's
deep, snaky voice.
yeah. Everything though is really kind of amped up and is overplayed,
Sure.
and it really wants to, like give you the idea like this is evil incarnate, whatever. But this guy's just like, "You will go in, Aladdin. You will do what I say. You will find me, the diamond in the rough, blah, blah, blah." Whatever. Just like it didn't sound menacing or threatening. He didn't look menacing or threatening.
Right.
And I would think that people on the internet would be talking about that. No, 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 no. What they are talking about is about the 4 seconds of the genie we see, which is Will Smith. And he's blue, and he's talking to Aladdin, and everyone's freaking out on the internet. They're saying like, this looks lifeless and this looks soulless. And while I don't maybe necessarily disagree somewhat, I think the problem is with this is that they cast a big name in the role. They cast someone who's known to be a humorous actor,
Right.
Who's got quite a personality. But the animated version was Robin Williams.
Yeah, you're never going to beat that.
There's no larger-than-life personality that's bigger than Robin Williams. So anything by comparison, in my opinion, is going to fall short.
Right.
So I almost would have hoped that they would have done just like a CGI genie and given it some sort of, some sort of a voice actor, but maybe not necessarily done the face part of it. Like they still could have used Will Smith as the voice, but maybe not used his face because everyone's just going to it was going to happen. It was inevitable, right? People are going to make the comparisons.
Of course.
And I know a lot of people said, why don't you just use Robin Williams, because you use his lines from the first movie. But the problem is that Robin Williams had a will that said like no one can use his likeness for like 25 years after his death. Contractually, there's some issues that, could be difficult to work around. And I think using a Robin Williams lookalike or sound-alike would be a massive, massive insult to his memory.
Right. Well, and they want to keep the jokes at the time that they made in that movie were topical, were current. And that's what they did in the like Broadway version of the show that they did like at Disneyland. And I think they actually had a Broadway show of Aladdin. I'm not sure. That kind of a thing too. So that would be hard to do if they did continue to use Robin Williams' voice to keep, the humor in it current.
Yep. So I'm not a big fan of this. This does not look very good to me. Once again, it's something I'm not going to go rush out to the theater to see.
Yeah, I might not rush out to see it, but I'm pretty sure I'll still see it in the theater because I love Aladdin. I do, and I'm interested to see how this goes, and I'll see it. I still don't want to see The Lion King, but I would like to see this one.
See, I actually think The Lion King looks a little bit better because they're using animals, and I don't know, that trailer, The Lion King they did was a shot-for-shot remake of the animated trailer, and I really liked it. I thought that one was actually decent looking.
Yeah.
But, we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's one last good thing, I guess, to put on the Aladdin trailer. At least the cast all looks like they belong in the Middle East, kind of where this is filmed. I'm glad they didn't whitewash it and cast a whole bunch of like white actors and actresses to play these roles. That would have been bad.
Frankly, I feel like some of this live action stuff is like, I feel like some of that they're doing specifically to utilize more actors and things like that, that are more diverse and not, because they have a lot of princesses that are just blonde, white princesses, right? I mean,
True.
It's where fairy tales come from. I understand. I'm not like whatever, but they're doing Aladdin, they're doing Mulan. Like we're going to see a lot of variety there, different cultures and things like that. And, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the motivation why they're selecting these specific movies right now.
Right.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Britta, what else you got?
All right. Well, let's see. This is one also kind of along the same veins as the live action remakes. So there's reports that Disney is considering a live action Nightmare Before Christmas or some sort of sequel to Nightmare Before Christmas. Yeah. So I have strong opinions on this. So I really love The Nightmare Before Christmas. When it came out, my sister and I just we were just the right age for it, and we just loved it, and we've just always loved it, and we try and watch it almost every Halloween. And it's so, it was not a success when it came out. It was, considered a box office failure, but it's become a cult classic, right? And everyone now, it's like kind of a big deal every year and stuff. And they've made a big deal about it in the parks and things. And well, for a lot of people it is. But I don't want them to touch it. I don't want a sequel. I don't want how do you even do a live action of that? Because it's stop motion. I don't know. It's just so different.
Well, that actually I think is really easy to overcome. The stop motion, you just, film regularly. It's the fact that, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Tim Burton.
Yeah, I know.
There's been a few things he's done that I've enjoyed, but I feel like his style is way too similar in everything that he does. And so, for instance, that's one of the reasons why I'm not super hyped about the Tim Burton Dumbo movie. Because it says, from Tim Burton, I'm like, oh, great. Because I know stylistically what that means, and I'm not a big fan of his style.
Right.
So I didn't care for that movie to begin with. I really don't like that movie, Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's one that, if I'm rebooting stuff and trying to make a bunch of money, if that was a box office flop originally, yes, it may have gained some cult status following, but I mean, going to The Lion King, that thing was a massive box office success. The Beauty and the Beast was a massive box office success. So it makes sense to reboot those and do the live action. I wouldn't be surprised when we get the live action Little Mermaid.
Right.
Because that was a huge success.
Oh, they're working on that too.
Eventually, we're going to get a live-action Coco and a live-action Moana, with enough time, right?
Right.
A live-action Frozen. We're gonna get live actions of all the big heavy hitters that made lots of money. But going into the well and going to something like this small, that would be them doing a live-action Aristocats. Is it really worth it? I don't think so, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, from, you know me, I'm fairly well immersed in the Disney world, being slightly obsessed as I am. And Nightmare Before Christmas is, at least with the Disney crowds, which Disney crowds are pretty big, let's be honest. It's a pretty big deal now. There's tons of merchandise every year, all the time. People are watching this, they're having sing-alongs and things and all kinds of stuff. So I think if they were to do something, I think it would be a success. I mean, it might not be like the Lion King massive, huge success, but I think it would be a fairly big success and people would be really hyped and excited about it. But I'm not, because I just feel like it would I don't know where they take it from there, I guess. And I just feel like it would kind of ruin it because it's been this iconic thing to me for such a long time. So.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Well, Britta, moving on to some more Disney news. Yes. This is not with a remake. A little while ago, we've talked a little bit extensively about how Walt Disney is acquiring 20th Century Fox.
Right.
And we know that means it's going to get the Marvel properties and, that's going to be part of it, that's coming along. And Deadpool is a character that was a Fox, character that is, it's a Marvel character, but it's not Marvel Studios, it's not MCU.
Right.
CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, basically assured investors at this, most recent kind of a meeting they had that they're planning on using Deadpool again and keeping Deadpool rated R. And that they said that they have plans to keep rated R movies as part of their business moving forward. Now, we know that in the past, Disney, under the Disney brand, did not want to do rated R movies.
Right.
So they they spun off other little companies that were still owned by Disney, like Touchstone Pictures or Miramax. And then they could do R-rated movies. But I'm wondering if, because this is going to come along with, the 20th Century Fox, even though Disney will own it, they can, still label it as 20th Century Fox. And so that kind of gets them out from underneath, having to say like Disney all over it.
Right. Well, and he did say that, I read that article and he said that it won't say Disney's Deadpool or it won't say Disney front, because when you see that Disney name, you have a certain expectation that this is going to be fairly family friendly. You're going to be able to take your kids with you. It's going to be PG-13 or less. Like there's an expectation there, and there's, they've created that image for a reason. So I like that he specifically said that they're not going to be branding it as that. It will be from Disney, but it won't say that on it. It'll say, possibly something else, like you said, 20th Century Fox or something like that. And I think that's fine if they are going to make movies like that. And I do like that they will keep them separated so you have an expectation of what you're going in to see.
I know this seems like little news, but man, to Deadpool fans, and those movies made big money. Yep. This is actually really big news because I know there was a lot of concern about that franchise and what that's going to mean. It also means to me that there's possibilities that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men stuff could get maybe a little edgier. Mm-hmm. They have the options to do that. It just all depends on what they really want to do with some of these characters. But like I said, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep it this way. It's making money. It's doing well. Why rock the boat? You're purchasing 20th Century Fox to make money. Yeah. It's got a lot of IP that's valuable. Mm-hmm. Don't neuter it. Let it continue to do its thing.
Yeah, as a business decision, it seems to make sense.
Yep.
For sure.
Keep Deadpool. All right, Britta, what else do you got for me?
All right, well, my last one is the brand new, very first teaser trailer for Frozen 2 has officially dropped.
Yeah.
So I know you've watched this a couple of times.
Yes,
I've watched it. I only watched it once. But it looks interesting. I don't know. What are you thinking so far?
Well, it's interesting to me. I mean, obviously, it looks like they're bringing back Kristen Bell and Idina Menzel to play Anna and Elsa, and we saw a little bit of Kristoff and Sven, and you see Olaf real briefly in it.
Right.
I don't know really what's kind of going on. I mean, even though it's like a 2-minute teaser trailer, it doesn't give you a lot of detail.
Right.
In there you see Elsa trying to like run on like what looks like to be the ocean.
Right, and the waves and everything.
And the waves. And I don't know if that's because maybe she's being held captive somewhere and she's trying to escape, or if maybe she's trying to test her powers and see what she can do. But we got a lot of action shots.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Kristoff riding Sven with a whole bunch of other reindeer. Mm-hmm. You see Anna grab Kristoff's sword right at the very end and kind of slash towards the camera, whatever that means.
Yep.
You see Elsa defending Olaf in like this big kind of ring of fire, and she's blasting, ice all around.
Mm-hmm. And it's like magical looking fire too. I'm not gonna lie. It's like bluish, purplish or something. That was interesting. It wasn't like regular fire.
Yeah, blue, red kind of whatever. Mm-hmm. So I don't really know what's going on, but they did show us a lot of action sequences.
We saw a new character.
We did?
Yeah, there was one character, I think it was a girl that they showed in some leaves and stuff that looked like might possibly have some sort of power or something. There was kind of a hint of that. So
there was a hint of something that looked like it was invisible.
Yeah.
In that spot.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting things. It looks like they were looking over a cliff at like a whole bunch of like a forest, like a fall looking forest, like obviously not in Arendelle, right? So I don't know. And
so it says that Frozen 2 is arriving at the end of this year, like November 22nd.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know, this is moving ahead further and faster than I thought. I mean, obviously the first one came out in what, like 2013?
I think so.
So it's been like 6 years since the other one came out. And let's be honest, that movie made a grundle of money.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very, very popular.
Yep.
And not just popular with girls, which you would think that, you know, that kind of a movie would be
Right.
popular with girls, but like our boys love it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know everyone loved it. Like it was just universally
Everyone was singing the songs and
Yeah.
like everything, the videos, like all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I think this is definitely something I would go see in the theater with the boys.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like intrigued. I'm also like, I don't know. It's weird. Like I'm kind of not super interested at this moment, but I wasn't super interested at Frozen at first when I first saw previews and stuff either. Like I was like, another princess movie, whatever. And then stuff came out and I loved it. So, you know, we'll see where it takes us. I'm hoping we'll kind of get more stuff as the year goes on.
Yep.
So,
Yep. I didn't have anything else for Rebel Intelligence this week. Britta, did you have anything else?
no, that's all I've got.
Well, that was our star-studded Disney spectacular Rebel Intelligence. Britta, we're not doing a question of the week because it doesn't really make sense because there's really no way that we're going to be able to kind of keep up with this since we're recording ahead.
Yep.
So, super friends, thank you for listening once again.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And we do appreciate when you do interact with us, and we will get back to that next week when I'm back in town. But Britta, our super friends are out there. They're listening to the podcast. What can they do to give us a helping hand here at the Fortress of Nerditude?
You know, they can go to iTunes. They can give us a review. Whatever you think is fair. We think 5 stars is fair, but it's up to you. And help us be found. Give us a review so more people can find the Fortress of Nerditude. Tell your friends and family. Share us on social media, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you got.
Wow, you're
Put it
putting
out
us
there.
a few other places. I like that.
Share us everywhere.
Yeah, because typically we're kind of a Twitter, Facebook. We're kind of getting into the Instagram. We've got a
forget about Twitter.
voicemail and a voicemail and an email. But I like that you want us to be on LinkedIn.
Yeah, come on.
And Pinterest.
LinkedIn. Let's connect. Let's connect.
The Fortress of Nerditude is on Etsy. Come find it. I mean, no.
Well, not Etsy, but Pinterest. You can pin stuff.
You can listen to us on
YouTube.
YouTube,
Yeah.
yeah, Spotify, Stitcher, all those places. But come find us on eBay. We're there somehow.
We might be.
That's
You
funny.
never know. Start selling T-shirts or something. Put them up everywhere.
If we did T-shirts, though, we'd probably do it through the website.
Well, yeah, but if you put them on eBay and say, "Ooh, vintage Fortress of Nerditude shirt, buy it," everyone's gonna want it.
Yeah, I think I'd be lucky if I got you to buy one.
That's true. I expect one for free.
That's exactly right. Technically, your money is my money is your money, so
there you go.
would have paid for it when we made it.
There you go.
Well, Britta, we decided that since we're recording ahead and you haven't been on for a movie club in a little while, that we would do a movie club tonight. And we kind of went back and forth on what we wanted to do, and ultimately we decided, let's do something that's a Disney movie because we're going to be on a Disney cruise when this comes out.
Yep.
And we decided to do Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah.
So originally this movie was called Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2. And then before the movie actually came out, they just kind of shortened it and dropped it to Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is great because Ralph Breaks the Internet, Wreck-It Ralph 2 is a mouthful.
Yes, it's too much. We
Yeah,
don't
it's a
need
little too
titles and
much.
subtitles and addendums
Yeah.
and things.
Right.
Just keep it simple, people.
So we actually just watched Ralph Breaks the Internet last night. We purchased it and we've watched this. So this is a sequel, obviously, to Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph was the first movie that we took Charlie to go see as a baby. He was obviously like an infant.
He was like 2
nursing
months
at the
old,
time.
and I had him wrapped
Yeah.
up in the Moby in the movie theater, and he pretty much slept the whole time. It was awesome, though.
Yeah. It was the first time we went and saw a movie after he'd been born. And so I do remember that quite vividly. The first movie, let's talk about it a little bit before we hit Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah.
The first movie, like looking back at it, where does that rank up for you? I mean, what's your level of interest, love, where are you at on the first movie?
I freaking love Wreck-It Ralph, the first one. I have to say number one. I can't just say Wreck-It Ralph. I'm going to call it just Wreck-It Ralph.
You can't, because that's the name of
I know.
it. It is Wreck-It Ralph. The other one's Ralph Breaks the
But our
Internet.
kids are just like, Mom,
Yeah,
Wreck-It
they're gonna-
Ralph. Which
Wreck-It
one?
Ralph.
One or two? Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
I love that movie. It was such a surprise for me. I had no idea what I was getting into when that came out. And it was such a fantastic surprise. And it was just like a breath of fresh air, right? A new story, something fun and interesting. So funny. All the characters were great. All the voice actors were great. I couldn't say enough good things about it. I love it so much. And I love that the music that they used in it wasn't, all like typical, like Disney, just written for the movie kind of music. And, the Owl City song that was, at the end credits and everything that they use in the parade at Disneyland and stuff like that. Our kids love that song. And I love that one.
So what I really liked about the first one is that they found a very fun, smart way to do an animated movie about video games.
Yeah.
And I really loved that. And so I was a little hesitant about the second one because I went, okay, where do you go from there? What kind of story do you tell? How do you kind of recapture the magic? And Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel comes out. The first movie, Wreck-It Ralph, was 2012. This was, 2018, so about 6 years apart. Actually, almost kind of like the exact same time frame as the Frozen movie will be, except 2013 to 2019, but right kind of in the same range there. 6 years after the first movie comes out, we went and saw this in the theater, and then of course we watched it last night, and I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised at the way they decided to go with the plot and the story because they found a way to not make it feel like they were just retreading the original necessarily.
Right. I do agree with that. I do have some issues with the basics of the story. I don't know if you want me to go into that now or wait a minute, but
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So the first movie, right, was all about Vanellope and how she knew in her blood she was a racer and she had to be a racer in Sugar Rush, sorry. And it was all about getting her to be the racer and be in the game because that's all she wanted in all of life, right? And that worked out. And the second movie, all of a sudden, I mean, we say all of a sudden, they say 6 years later and stuff, but Sugar Rush is not enough for her and she needs something else and she's bored with her life, which is kind of, I feel like, I get where they do that, but I don't know. I just felt like it was a departure from her character.
See, I actually disagree with you there.
Okay.
I think her character really was all about, like in the first game, right, is, she was a racer in the game and then, her character got disconnected and she became the glitch and she wanted to fight to race the game and she makes it in and she becomes a racer, right? But you got to look at it now as like, she's raced every race a gazillion times. It's been 6 years. She does the same thing every day, day in, day out. But her desire to be a racer and to actually experience new races and be competitive is still inside of her, but she doesn't have the ability to achieve that anymore. And so she feels maybe confined and unhappy, and when a new opportunity presented to her, obviously they go into the internet and she finds this new game called Slaughter Race. It's a new opportunity. It's a new place where she can continue to race and prove herself and have that competitive spirit that she has. But being stuck in Sugar Rush in, Litwack's arcade, she's not able to, to be competitive anymore. It's just the same old day in, day out.
Like reach her potential.
Right.
of a
Yeah. I
thing.
mean, because she's,
I
I mean,
can
that's
see
the thing
that.
with competitive people. They
Yeah.
want to continue to prove themselves and continue to test themselves against the best that's out there. And so she feels that she can't do that. She feels stifled and, confined. And so I didn't think that didn't fit with her character so much. But what I did find a little odd was like how quick she was willing to like, abandon everything to go to like the new game.
Yeah.
That seemed a little quick. But it was not a bad thing. But obviously like the plot though of this is that, Vanellope and Ralph go to the internet because her game gets broken. They need to find a new steering wheel.
Yep.
And they go to the internet and they find out, oh, hey, we can go to eBay and we can purchase this. What I love, though, is how well this is written because they write it so that it would be like it would be if this actually existed, right?
Yeah.
The characters don't know what eBay is. They don't know that it costs real money to buy this because this thing is only going for like $200 roughly. And they get in and they think, oh, we just got to bid it up. We got to bid it up. And they get it up to like $27,001.
They're like, whoever says the highest number gets it. That's what it is. It's just a saying a number game.
Right. And so I love that the writers were smart enough to like say, okay, how would it be if you were being first introduced to the internet? Like they saw the little Wi-Fi thing that plugs in and they were called it, Wi-Fi, Wifey, yeah, because they didn't know what it is. They didn't know, the internet. They didn't know about eBay. They didn't know, you see Google and they're like, hey, look, that's a place where you can go get goggles.
Yeah,
and I love that. I think that's really, really smartly written.
Yeah, it's a lot of great humor in the movie because of that. Things that we just take for granted and we just like know because we've been an internet generation for so long. That even our kids understand all that stuff. Like they get some of those jokes because they know what Google is. They know what eBay is, so.
Right.
Yeah.
So they go to the internet, they try to find, this thing. Then they realize, oh, now we have to raise money. And that's when we get introduced to Slaughter Race. They realize that they can steal a car from Slaughter Race and make all the money they need. They also are, doing this little pop-up scheme to try to, win loot. And man, that whole part's kind of written really great. There's kind of this like seedy side of the internet and they kind of show it off and, but in like a fun, cute way. Like it's not like a non-threatening way.
Right.
But obviously, in this movie, Ralph just wants to help his friend and he wants to go back to the arcade and, continue living his life.
Yeah. Keep the status quo.
Yep. Vanellope wants more. So she wants more. She wants to be able to kind of stretch. And that's kind of the whole kind of main plot behind this. Now, the funny thing is when they get there, they try to figure out how to raise the money and they try to steal the car. That doesn't go according to plan. So then Ralph becomes essentially a YouTube star. They call it BuzzTube. I think there was a YouTube, but this is another thing.
Yeah.
They give out hearts
with YouTube.
Yeah. And the more hearts you get can translate in, basically views translates into
money.
Money. And so he's doing all these basically internet memes in order to like completely flood the internet with him and get a whole bunch of attention to make the money. I thought that once again was really, really smart writing because we live now in a culture where people actually make their living online, filming themselves and, doing silly things, funny things, cooking shows, whatever, right? Cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a way that people, nowadays actually can make a living if they're, if they're smart and they're funny and they get a big enough following and they put out quality content and they're consistent. And I thought that was really kind of a telling thing because it also showed kind of maybe the darker side of that because Ralph is just desperate to make the money he needs. So he's willing to do pretty much anything, no matter how embarrassing, no matter how,
ridiculous
below him,
and silly.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of some social commentary on where we're at as a society, because we do have people that go online and do all sorts of things to try to get attention and to try to make a little bit of money.
Right.
So, very well written.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely makes sense and, tells an interesting story about where we are in society kind of right now, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
For my money, though, the best part of this movie is when Vanellope goes to the little Oh My Disney area.
Yeah.
And you see stormtroopers and C-3PO. You see Eeyore. You see Buzz Lightyear.
You see Snow White dwarfs.
You see all these characters. And then Vanellope ends up getting into the room with all the princesses.
Yeah, it's their, backstage room.
Right. The writing involved there is probably the best in the whole movie. It's just priceless. It's just funny and smart and well done. And I could have used, that scene was maybe about 5 minutes total.
Yeah.
I could have had half an hour of that stuff.
Oh, I know. It was just so clever and funny because, and you've all seen the clips. It was in the previews and things of the princesses freaking out when Vanellope gets in there and asking her all these questions of, is she really a princess? And, does she have magic? Has she been kidnapped? Have you been poisoned? And she's like, oh, what is wrong with you people? And then, they ask her the $1 million question. Does everyone assume that all your problems were solved because a big, strong man came and saved you? And of course she's like, yes, what's up with that? And then it just goes from there. All the princesses in their little comfy outfits, which is a really big deal with the internet for a while. And just talking about the singing and she's just like, what? You guys just start singing? And they're like, yeah, that's how you know what you want out of life. You just stare at important water and you start singing.
Yep. Let me ask you a question. You were telling me that pretty much all of the princesses, except for a couple, were voiced by the original voice actresses that did the parts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know the one who voiced Snow White is no longer living, and I think maybe Cinderella. And then I think there was a couple others that just don't do it anymore, like Sleeping Beauty because she's older and stuff, I think. And then
Aurora.
Yeah, Sleeping Beauty. That's Aurora.
Yeah.
And same thing. Briar Rose, Aurora, Sleeping Beauty. She has a lot of names. But yeah, so it's all the original voice actresses or the voice actresses who are playing the Cinderella, the Snow White, the Aurora currently for Disney in various things. But yeah, and if you listen in the movie, and I was paying attention to that last night when we were watching that, I could hear every single one of their voices. I knew when Jodie Benson was talking because she's the Little Mermaid, my favorite. And I could hear, the, and I just forget her name, Alani Cavalli something for Moana. You can hear that it is the actual, they didn't just find some random people to be the princesses. So it's authentic, which I love. It's great.
Yeah, I like that. It's smart and it makes it feel right versus kind of done cheaply. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but if they were to do some sort of spin-off with the princesses,
oh my gosh,
in kind of that world,
yeah,
I think that could be a thing.
That could be hilarious. Well, and then you see the princesses again at the very end of the movie when they save Ralph. He's fallen from the sky, and then all the princesses use all their tricks and trades and everything to save him, which is also another funny scene. But it makes them more oh, we just saved the big strong man this time, which was pretty clever in itself. They're a big strong man is falling from the sky. That was clever and very cute.
There's a lot of cameos in this movie. Obviously, when it gets to that Oh My Disney kind of fan site area of the internet, you see the Pixar stuff, Star Wars, Marvel Comics, Muppets.
Yep.
The band Imagine Dragons has a small little cameo in the film that they voice because they actually have a song that was featured in the trailer and in the
credits.
In the credits called Zero. So that was in there. There was obviously a Stan Lee cameo.
Yep, that was awesome.
Stan Lee was in there. what was interesting that I found out kind of looking at it afterwards is that they actually wanted to have a joke about Kylo Ren in the movie, about him being a spoiled child.
Oh, really?
But basically Lucasfilm asked them to cut that.
Oh, interesting.
And so they cut that, and then they also cut a line about C-3PO being called like R2-D2 and BB-8 by the princesses.
That would have been funny.
So there was that, and then obviously one of the big things that I know a lot of fans were looking for. I mean, this is a movie about video games, and we never saw Mario in the first one, and people were thinking Mario maybe would have some sort of a thing in the second one, and once again, no Mario.
Yep.
So I don't know if there was just an issue, or if maybe Nintendo didn't want to use him in that way.
That's too bad, because he's, classic video game. I mean...
Right?
Yeah. So...
but we did get some new characters in this movie. Alan Tudyk plays the Knowsmore, which is kind of like just a browser, like a database engine, search engine.
Yeah, kind of like a Google search or something.
Right. But I mean, it's not Google, because obviously we see there's Google.
Yeah.
But it kind of knows more. And the nice thing is Tudyk did the voice of King Candy in the first one.
Right.
So basically he got to do a different role in this one.
Yeah. Which he's just phenomenal in everything.
Yep. Alfred Molina played Double Dan. Basically kind of the worm with the little brother that's kind of in his shoulder or whatever.
Dark web guy.
Right. And then Bill Hader actually played JP Spamley, who was kind of the clickbait pop-up guy. Which is funny because I had to look that up because I was like, man, that voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, he does. He's kind of one of the new, in all the Pixar movie kind of things now, and a lot of those Disney, all those movies. He always has some small part, so he's done a lot of that stuff. But yeah.
So lots of cameos. Something I did notice about this movie, though, I felt that the music, while it was good, and the kind of the sound, not the soundtrack, but the score kind of felt similar enough to the original one, except for that Zero song that's in the credits and the kind of Slaughter Race song that Vanellope sings. There isn't really a lot of big musical numbers or big popular songs that I think are going to stand out from this film.
Right. And really in the first one, I think, at least for me, it was the only one that really stood out was the Owl City song, When Can We Do This Again, which was big. And there wasn't really...
That was the credits.
That was the end credits, yeah. I mean, they had the little, Sugar Rush theme song, but that's not like a...
S-U-J-R
Sugar Rush.
Yeah, I got that stuck in my head.
Rush. I know. But yeah, the other one was big, and so, and I don't know, I didn't think that the Zero song was that catchy. I don't know. It didn't catch me personally. I barely remember it at this point, and I am pretty sure I was singing the other one, right walking out of the theater, So, yeah, I wasn't super impressed with it. I did love the Slaughter Race song. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was really funny. And the Rick roll at the end.
Oh my gosh, the Rick roll
was really getting, really kind of good there. They're never going to give you up by Rick Astley.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the score was really good. It did thematically feel like it fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, the actual soundtrack, not going to be a super memorable one. I mean,
right.
Trust me, there's no Let It Go Frozen song.
And it's not meant to be. It's not a musical animated film. So I don't think that's a huge deal. And the background, the score and the everything, it fit the movie and it did its purpose. But there just wasn't anything stand out to me.
Right.
So
how well do you think Ralph Breaks the Internet did at the box office?
I would think it did really well. I don't know a number.
Worldwide, it made $494.7 million, so about $495 million.
Huh?
And the production budget was only $175 million to make it.
Well, there you go.
So it definitely made its money back, and then some. it also was released up against like movies like Creed 2 and Robin Hood. And so it didn't really have like massive competition. So it really kind of released, in a good time frame. It was kind of around that, kind of end of the year, kind of going into the Christmas season, like I think like late November.
Right.
Really, really kind of a good time. Critically, it was well received. It's got like an 89%, on Rotten Tomatoes. I know that for me, it's not as good as the original, but I think it's a worthy successor. Like it's fun and it's what it needs to be.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one that, we'll watch over and over with the kids. They really enjoyed it. They can't wait to watch it again. If the kids like it, we'll see it at least 10 times in the next few weeks. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And when this podcast releases, they'll actually have seen the movie. They haven't seen it yet. They don't know that we actually purchased it and we got it for them yet.
Yeah, they keep seeing it on the Apple TV, and I'm like, yeah, it's just saying it's coming out soon. So we're surprising them with it on the airplane.
Right. Obviously, this was, like the 57th animated Disney film.
That's crazy.
It's, even though it's done with computers, the animation looks really good. It looks very similar to the first one. Did you notice anything technically that stood out that made it look different than the first one? Like anything glaring?
No, not that I noticed. I thought it looked pretty much the same, we watch Wreck-It Ralph all the time at our house. So, like when you look at like the original Toy Story and then you look at the later Toy Stories, you can see the difference. In this one, I feel like, the technology is probably still fairly the same. So it still looks consistent.
I think a big part of the reason why it's consistent is this was the first time Disney has ever used like the same creative team and the same, like all the same voice actors and everything that did the first movie to come back and do the second movie.
Oh, okay.
Like it's the same people that directed it and wrote the other ones and, executive produced and everything. And so I think that's maybe why also thematically this one to me feels like it fits like perfectly as a follow-up sequel because it had the same team involved. It's not like when we had The Lion King and then we had like The Lion King 2.5, which was like a straight to like, DV or video, home release.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know, Britta, what do you think? Do you think there's room for another sequel? Do you think the Wreck-It Ralph world could, we could get another one of these movies?
I think they could do more. I don't, now that they've opened up the world of the internet, there's definitely more that they could do. Maybe Ralph becomes a app or something. I don't know. That you can play on your phone. Somehow that works with stuff. I don't know. But I think there's definitely they could. I don't know that they need to. I didn't think they needed to do another one after the first one, but, I'm glad they did. It's fun and I enjoy it and, our kids like it, which really is kind of one of the number one things for me nowadays. But, yeah, I like it. And I, what I'd like to see is maybe a spin-off because we didn't talk about this at all, but in this movie, you barely see, Fix-It Felix Jr.,
yeah,
and Calhoun, who, as we know, got married at the end of the first movie. And in this one, they Sugar Rush is getting unplugged because of the steering wheel. So those two decide to adopt 15 children, all the little racers from Sugar Rush. And you just see a couple little bits, and it's pretty funny, but that's all you see of them. And I'm like, let's do a spin-off with them. Let's see what they're up to, what their life is like.
I actually think that's a really good idea, Britta, because you're right. We don't see a lot of Fix-It Felix Jr. and Calhoun. And I really enjoyed them in the first movie. I mean, they had a real good kind of, story going with the two of them going after Ralph.
Mm-hmm. They're such opposites.
Yeah, and they're really funny when they, kind of that dichotomy, right? The differences between the two. That's actually a really good idea.
Thank you. I am a genius.
I'll have to put in a word to Bob Iger and John Lasseter and see if we can get something to happen.
There you go. Maybe we'll get some royalties off of that. Buy my idea.
Yeah, because I'm sure no one else.
No one else has ever had that. No one at Disney has mentioned that before.
You heard it here first on the Fortress of Nerditude.
You bet it.
We're trademarking that right now. All right, so Britta, give me kind of like your overview of this movie. Looking back on it, we saw it in the theaters. Now we've seen it and we own it here at home. Is this a movie that you would be willing to watch? I mean, I know that our boys are going to watch it, so we're going to end up catching it quite a lot. But is this a movie that you would go back and you would rewatch? And, would you recommend this for, friends, people with kids, kind of where do you stand on this overall?
Yeah, I will definitely watch it more, and I will watch it with the children and not put headphones on and play a game on my phone, or watch something else while they're watching that. So I like it. I mean, I don't know how many times I'll do that. But I would definitely recommend it too. Obviously, pretty much anybody. I mean, I think like my parents would love to watch it. I think friends would love to watch it. Kids, parents with kids, parents, I was just going to say parents without kids, but I'm like, that's
a little difficult.
Adults without children.
There you go.
There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. Kids, adults, elderly, everyone. I think it kind of like, I think that they span, the age ranges. I think most people would enjoy this movie. So
I think it's smartly written. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's good, wholesome family fun. And I don't mean that like in a negative way either.
Yeah.
Like it's good. It's, got a lot of humor. There's some heart to it. The plot's well done. There's some just amazing writing in some of these moments. And I think it's definitely well worth the time to watch this. If you saw the first movie and you loved it, definitely go see this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take the time, whether you got kids or not, Super Friends.
Yeah.
Take the time. It's definitely worth it. And it's got a lot of little fun Easter eggs. I think this is something you could go back and rewatch a number of times and see different little things each time you watch it.
Yeah, definitely pay attention when they're in the dark underbelly of the internet, the old internet and the dark internet. There's a lot of good Easter eggs in there. Yep, a lot of
little fun things.
Missed them. I know I missed some the first time because I saw some on the second, and then you mentioned some that I didn't see the second time through either, so lots of good stuff. Check it out.
All right, Super Friends, that's our review of Ralph Breaks the Internet. Go see it. It is out there now. You can get it digitally. And, pop some popcorn, man. Have a little movie theater in your home, wherever you may be, and just enjoy it. Have a good time.
Yeah.
Britta, this was a lot of fun having you back and doing this movie club. I know we're doing it ahead of time, so it'll release on schedule, but, we're going to be vacationing, but this has been fun. It's been a little while since we've done this.
Yeah, it's been good. I know it has been a while since I've been back for a movie club or anything, so thank you for having me back.
Well, you're always welcome to join us.
Super Friends should check out your Twitter and Facebook and stuff. Maybe when we get back, we'll post some fun Disney and cruise pics.
We probably could
Star
do
Wars
that.
pictures and stuff. We'll have some nerd stuff up there.
We probably could do that. All right. Well, from all of us here at the Fortress of Nerditude to all of you out there, wherever you may be, may the Force be with you always.